Hey, and thanks for clicking on my video. I appreciate you. I have 3 Temu orders arriving soon. One of them just got here, so I figured I'd film it today. I'm in my living room right now because my office was painted yesterday and today, so I gotta let it dry. And it's driving me crazy because I just want to rearrange everything back to normal because I hate being out of normalcy. So let's open the first Temu package. Actually, it was pretty funny. So he delivered this, and then I seen him stop next door at my neighbor's place to deliver his package because he's also addicted to Temu. We've talked about that recently. I should go over and see what he bought. I got more 40mm safety eyes because I love putting really big eyes on plushies. And to be honest, the ones I bought last time weren't the best quality. I did buy the exact same ones again. So I'm hoping that the quality is a bit better just because they had some scratches and some dings on the sides of the eyes. So fingers crossed these are better, but I needed more because I only had 1 pair left after everything that I have used so far from the last one. Exact same thing, more 40mm safety eyes because I use them so much. Any guesses on what this is? This one actually came in a bunch of bubble wrap, so that's kind of fun. And then it came in the baggie as well. These are not 40mm safety eyes, but they are 35mm safety eyes. So pretty similar in size, obviously. They honestly look very, very similar in size, but we can compare in just a second. So I've got those. Those are just with the glitter backs. Something funny to tell you is Larry is terrified of this size of bubble wrap, like the standard tiny size, but big bubble wrap, no problem. But you hold this up to him and you start crinkling it and he's like, and it's the funniest thing. I'll have to get it on video sometime. Here are the size difference between the 40 and 35. So there is a good significant difference there. I was concerned that they were pretty much the same, and it wouldn't really matter, obviously, because I'm not going to put 2 different sizes on a plushie, but I just want to show you the comparison there. And I just love the big eyes on any size plushie. Obviously not like a handheld size plushie, but even on like a medium size one, the big eyes just look so, so cute, and I really love them so much. Hopefully they're all really good quality. I'll update you if they are or not or whatever. I had looked on Amazon to see if I could find any of these eyes, like the bigger sizes, if I could get them faster, but no, you couldn't really get them any faster because they all ship from overseas. And the price was just crazy. So on Amazon for 40mm eyes and a 10-pack, I think they wanted like $40. So that's $4 per pair. And I'm not putting that cost into a plushie and then upping my prices. I waited a bit, crocheted other things in the meantime, like some baby safe items without safety eyes. It worked out fine, and I'm sure I'll be using these shortly. The last thing in the bag I am very excited about. It's a box. Do you want to see what's in it? This is not something I was searching for on Temu at all, but it came up and I was like, yes, please, finally, somebody who invented this. So this is a snapper for the eyes, and I've had like the handheld plastic ones, basically like this without the stand, and they snapped. It happened to Annie at Hooks and Healers as well. I seen it on one of her videos and I was like, okay, I'm not the only one. And what's really cool about this, it comes with all the different, they're called dies, where you basically set the eye in and then you press it down. So I'll put a picture of the Temu listing picture thingy up here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm excited to use this because the 40mm eyes that I like to use, they are such a bee to put on. I have to wait usually until my husband gets home and, depresses them in for me. And then after that, like sometimes we can't get them on. I have to use a lighter to melt them on. And I know that's not really okay, but what else do you do? I have super glued some in the past and that worked. So I'm excited for this. I'm going to put one of the dies on and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Here's how it looks with 2 of the dies put on. And something that's really great about these dies, so like these little white discs, what dies are, and they have the number on them. So the one at the bottom right now would fit up to a 50mm eye. I don't use 50s, so I use 40s. And it's cool, on the Temu listing it says it's for this eye size. I can't remember what it is right now, but you'll see it right there. And yeah, so I'm excited to use it. I will use it and let you all know exactly how it does work and like if it works well, etc. I can't today because my office is a total mess and I can't get to any safety eyes besides the ones I just opened. And I don't plan on making anything that needs a 40mm eye today. So I think this will be a lot nicer than the handheld one. This one is also plastic, but it's definitely a more durable plastic. The other one was very lightweight, and this one is like a hard acetate. I'm finally back in my office, and I can't wait to show you all the beautiful color that I got done. It's gorgeous in here. I did one accent wall, so it wasn't too dark in here. because the main color is like quite a bit darker than what I'm used to, but we used it at the corporate office for Spin Right because we had voted years ago on hex colors for like our company theme. This was one of them, and when we started painting, I was like, I love it so much. I want it in my house. So I knew eventually I wanted to get my office redone, especially after I lost my job, because I was like, I need something to make me feel joy and happy, and I really wanted to get it done in the spring. It just wasn't in the budget. Karen finished on September 2nd and 3rd. I think that's what it was, because today's the 4th. So yeah. Last night, Steve and I moved everything back to its normal spot. I did change where my cabinet is, took out the 8 cubes that held the worsted 4 weight, and I put the worsted 4 weight right there because it can fit right in that shelf. Most of it. Some of it is up top there, but just like 4 skeins. And then I do have some scrappy bits right there from the cubes because they couldn't fit in there without falling off. But we'll get there. I have a nice candle going by the Scented Market. If you're in Ontario, I'm sure you've heard of them. She was also on Dragon's Den, my friend Christy. We actually started my first business started at the same time. My sewing business that she had, her candle company started. She has owned multiple companies, and she's just a sweetheart. And I love supporting her business. And her fall collection is my favorite. There's not really a way for me to film without giving the color away, so I'm just going to show you right now, and then I'll show you like a full office tour when I have everything done. It's like a deep raspberry pink, and it is just so gorgeous. If you're curious what the color name is, it is Gypsy Pink by Benjamin Moore. Something that I love watching on YouTube is time lapses. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to time lapse myself bringing all my yarn back into my office and putting it on the shelves. Right now it's in our catch-all / back room / freezer room / where I keep my sweaters and the board games, etc. In totes and in boxes, and I shoved it all in there. I got it in there, so now we're gonna bring it back out. I'm gonna give you a peek of what the disaster currently looks like. So, toilet paper, household stuff, sweet snuggles. Yarn I just got off Temu and I had to throw it in here without even looking at it really. And here's where all my blanket yarn is, and honestly I'm surprised I got it in there, but I did, and good for me. And then of course my curtain that usually goes on my closet in the office there. Steve will have to hang that up for me because I can never get tension rods to work for me. My whole life they fight with me and I can't, so at least he can do it for me. Here is the chaos that is now my office. It's a bit crazy. I did donate quite a bit of yarn, like a lot of yarn. Like I had 2 garbage bags full, just because it was yarn that I was like, I've had it for years. I have a project planned. Am I ever going to get to it? Probably not. So, it's just the way it has to go sometimes. So here's all my blanket yarn. It's going to fit up on those cubes, hopefully anyway, but I'm pretty sure it will, because I had a lot of extra space last time. But this now includes the 53 skeins of yarn I bought at the Spin Right warehouse sale. So we'll see if we can get it all on there. Fingers crossed. I'm gonna have to do this in like different stints throughout the day just because life. I pick Larry up from daycare later. So that's why I'm doing this today. I really want to get it done before I pick him up because you know how hard it is with a dog under your feet all day. And I just started lunch, so I can take it over to the neighbor's house. He recently lost his wife, one of my favorite people. It's so sad. I'm trying not to think about it just because I'm not handling it well. I'm just devastated because of her loss. So I'm trying to, spend more time with her husband, and, she was only 71. I think he's 73. Still a lot of life left in him, and they're such sweet people, and they've been so sweet for, the whole time we've been here. Just trying to spend a bit more time with him. So I've been trying to convince him to have lunch with me each day and, supper and stuff. And he's had family and friends and like a lot of people over and stuff. Like the week that she passed on the Monday, like there was 40 people there every day saying their condolences and stuff. And, but this week it's quieted down a bit for him. He's been going out every day. I've been keeping an eye on him and stuff. We're gonna have lunch together today, so that's exciting. I'm making pierogies. I always I boil the pierogies, get them cooked, fry them up in a frying pan with bacon, so they're nice and tasty, and then we dip them in sour cream. Usually lactose free for me. So let's get into the yarn organizing. I do want to do it kind of like what I had before. So I had them in different rows, like going down, like top to bottom. I did like my sweater quantities in the first row, and then all my teeny tiny balls of yarn, like Bernat blanket, I had in this row over here. But I think I am going to change that. I want to have my Sweet Snuggles yarn that I really want to use up, basically right away, on this row over here, just so I can, know where everything is. And honestly, because of all the stuff I found on clearance recently, because Chenille Home being discontinued, I have a lot more than I did like 2 weeks ago. So let's get to that. Because our house was built in the 1960s, a lot of it is slanted. This room seems to be the worst one. And the master bedroom right above this room, everything tilts in towards the chimney that was never even used. So that's annoying. And then it kind of folds in this way. So I usually have to put some things under my cube shelves because the floor is uneven. So for example, I can fit none of my foot under this side, but I can fit half my foot under this side. And that gets really annoying. So I usually try to keep the heaviest yarn at the bottom for that reason. This is a color I found a lot of on clearance. This is Peacock by Chenille Home, Loops and Threads Michaels. And I'm sad this one's being discontinued. It's so beautiful. This is another one I found on clearance from Chenille Home. I had to rewind this one. I can't get up again because it's so floppy and I hate that. But it's a nice color. I think it's really good for like teddy bears. And I have made a teddy out of it. And because I like to see all the colors that I have, it's just easier on my brain. I usually, with the chenille yarns anyway, I like to shove them, only 4 at a time, so I can stand in front of this column here and just see what I have. These 3 also need to be wound back up again. And I know I could solve that by going from the outside of the skein while I'm crocheting things, but I just never think of it. And then I'm halfway through a project, I'm like, damn it. I really want to make a scrappy project out of like all my scraps from Chenille Home Sweet Snuggles. I don't have enough yet, but once I get a lot of this yarn used up, I will definitely have more. And I look forward to doing like a really big scrappy teddy bear or something. When I dropped Larry off at daycare the other day, I went into the city and I went to Michael's and they actually had some Chenille Home left on clearance, and it was all the color, I think this is Vineyard Green. Nope, this is the color Agave, and that's fine because it works really good for the fat ass frogs that I make. So that's what these are going to. I do want to cake them up, but for the time being, I'm going to put them in the shelf just so I know that cube is going to be occupied. Not for long because I plan on doing a video just making fat ass frogs because they constantly sell out at the market for me. I'm going to pause the video because I hear my water boiling for lunch. Lunch is now made. I just want to let it cool down a bit before I take it over next door. So in the meantime, I think I'm just going to do something small. I am going to put away just, specialty project things. So these are a bunch of Karen spice cakes that I had thrifted. I had thrifted these 2 here. Like it's a brown color. And the color is Ginger Snap, made in 2022. So it's a bit of an older one, but I do like this color. It's not enough for a whole sweater, obviously. I only have 2 of them. And how many yards are in each? 239 yards. So I think it'd be really good for a hexagon cardigan. Not for me, because I need plus size. But if I make, one panel out of this side, or this skein, and one panel out of this skein, merge them together, I think it'd make a nice hexagon cardigan. That's on my to be made list with everything else. You know how that goes. Where I had these before was down at the very bottom, and I feel like they were forgotten about by my brain and my eyes, so I'm going to put them in the first column with all my sweater quantities where I usually keep them. So maybe it'll be easier for me to remember that they're there. And next up, we have this beautiful spice cake. I think it's called Indiegogo. I might be wrong on that. So I'd done the swatches for this years ago, and I love spice cakes. They're just so nice to work with. They're 100% acrylic, so I can use them because I can't have wool. I seen these at the retail outlet store, so these are sample balls. And I was like, I have to buy all of them. And then the next day I went back and got the rest because I bought, I think, 3 that day. And I was like, you know what? I love this so much. I want a sweater for me specifically. here's the next box. This is specific to a project. I have made one before of what's in here. So basically what I end up doing, this is the start of the blanket. I don't use all of it. And then I go to this, go to the cream and then the mustard, and it makes a cigarette blanket. I made one for my sister for Christmas a few years ago, and they were like, you should sell these online. That is amazing. And I was like, yeah, I probably should, but it was the time to make a whole blanket. So another project to be made. In here we have some of the patchwork yarn. I love working with this yarn. It's just so soft and beautiful, and it's like a newer Bernat formula, and just, it's so nice. So before I had my office painted, I had these in the first column because I was going to make a sweater out of them, but then I started making plushies out of them, so now I don't have enough for a sweater. I mean, if I do have one full skein and then 2 partial skeins. They're a little bit squishy, but I don't really have a solid that would work well with it besides black, and I think that's too much of a contrast. So these are going to go towards plushies, I guess, or something. That's one more box done. Might as well do another one of these boxes because they're small. This is Bernat Blanket Extra, like the medium-sized one. And I have this saved specifically because my aunts want me to crochet their cat. He's all white with green amber eyes. I'll put a picture of him here. His name is Lincoln, and he's a pretty boy. He's a prince. My aunts spoil him. So at some point I want to make him. I just haven't had the time. Well, sorry, no, I haven't made the time. There's one more specialty yarn. I think I donated the other 2 that I had. That was like the faux fur, but this is the loops and thread stuff, and if you worked with it, you know how soft it is. It's a bit of a bee to see when you're working with it. I really like it, so I did keep this one. Just for trim and stuff on plushies, or maybe on a sweater. Now the question is where to put these. Because I don't want them in like these 3 rows right here, because that's kind of like my eye line. I'd much rather have it like these cubes right here for things that I'm like, okay, I want to make that soon, so it's right in my eyesight. So specialty yarns, probably going to go back at the bottom. That's where I had them before. And then now I have the color Easter Egg, and that's Bernat Baby Blanket. It is a really nice color. It works well into sweaters, into plushies, and I had got so much of it for free from my former workplace that I still have all this left, and I've already made 2 sweaters of it. It works good for plushies too. I think this will make really fun Drift the Octopus. I do like the variegated yarns when you're working in rounds, and it just like stripes and like gathers really well. So these are all going to go in one cubby, obviously, because they're all the same color. But I'm not going to do a sweater out of it because I already have 2 sweaters in stock with this yarn. When I tend to have so much extra, or like, multiples of one skein, what I do prefer to do, especially when it's, this much, like it's a full basket full or box full. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. I do like to keep one, like in my central eye line, etc. And then I usually put the rest near the bottom, just so I know I have that shade. And then if I do need extra, I can look down the same row at the very bottom. And as I mentioned earlier, I did donate a lot of my yarn that I had down here before. It was a lot of the older formula that I wasn't reaching for, and I was like, Melissa, stop hoarding it. You're not going to use it. Over here, and then the rest will be down at the very bottom. I am aware that I am over-explaining things, but when I watch a yarn organization video, which is my favorite thing to watch on YouTube, by the way, is I love when people over-explain, because I can see their thought process and then also think like, oh, I should do that with my yarn stash. That's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? So that's why I'm over-explaining everything. So hopefully you like a really long yarn organization video. I had fun filming this part. For now, I'm going to put my teeny tiny balls of Bernat Blanket yarn. So stuff that I've basically all balled up. Here is the box of yarn that works good for like companion animals. I remember I had 2 cubes of that before. And so basically it's just yarn that I use for cats, dogs. It's a lot of the tweed yarn. Basically browns, blacks, grays, whites. So I have multiple skeins of some colorways. So the ones that I do have extra of, they're going to go on the bottom. And hopefully this works out because of how much yarn I have. Maybe we'll have to rearrange this again. We'll see. My sweater quantities will stay in this row. And then this is going to be my, when I need it yarn. And then these 3 rows here are going to be like my yarns I really want to use for amigurumi right now. If you haven't tried the Bernat Blanket Mystical yarn of the newer formula, definitely give it a try. The black works really well for dogs and cats. And every time I have a black kitty made out of this, it sells right away. Another box finished. I'm going to take another pause and I'm going to go over to the neighbor's house and have lunch. I'm back from lunch. I had a nice time with my neighbor. I made pierogies, as I said. They were delicious. And then I left the rest over there with him so we can have them for supper. So right now I have a few skeins of worsted weight on my shelf because I couldn't fit them in here without them rolling off. So these are just random pieces. And I'm just going to make these into hats for charity. I might take a few hats, like if they turn out really nice and I love them a lot, to the market. But we'll see. I'm not sure yet. There is a fun hat pattern I really enjoyed making in December last year. It was the short row beanie by Bag O Day Crochet here on YouTube. Crystal does great tutorials and it was really easy to work up when she kind of got the hang of it. It was like, oh, okay, you have to do that every row. So it was cool. And I made it out of Parrot Stripe, Red Heart Super Saver. And the way that it's striped, oh, it was so amazing. So honestly, some of these yarns might work really well for one of those, but they do take a bit more time than just a standard in the round hat, toque, beanie, whatever. This I still have to wind. I bought it recently. Mainstays Baby Chenille. It's a really nice yarn. It does fluff quite a bit because it is the chenille, so you can see there it fluffs, but it's a nice yarn. Okay, what we have left now is 3 big totes and then 2 smaller boxes. I'm going to do the smaller boxes first just because I know what they are, really, and there's only like a few layers in them. The other totes are going to take quite a while. I don't know if I can get all this done before I have to pick up Larry between 4 and 6. So, fingers crossed I do, but I won't be surprised if I don't. These 3 skeins here are from Temu, and I do like the consistency of the white and the blue. And the yellow is a bit more thick. It's very dense, and it's hard to work with, but I've been managing. I can only make like one little thing with it at a time. So honestly, I should have donated this, but I didn't. Next time I make a donation, probably this. Something I do plan on doing with my Bernat Blanket yarn is keeping things that are similar in groups. So like variegated yarns, for example, I want to keep together, like in columns. And then the solid colors I want to keep in a different row. I don't have a whole lot of solid colors. I bought some recently at that warehouse sale, but it's hard to keep solid colors in stock because I use them a lot for sweaters. So for now, I'm going to set all the solids to the side. Something that I do to help my future self, when I'm caking up a skein of yarn into a cake on my Stanwood yarn winder, and it's a pain in the butt, and there's a lot of factory knots or just, tangles you have to untangle and put back together, I always put a safety pin in those ones. So I know when I'm reaching for it, it's going to be a pain in the butt, and I kind of expect it to be. So I'm not like surprised when I go to reach for it, or I'm not guessing which one it was. So that's something for you to consider. I know some people just throw out those yarns. I don't like to waste. And if I'm making a plushie with like, single crochets, it's kind of easier to work around. But if I'm doing a sweater out of like granny stitch, I'm like, damn. I've gotten to a point in this tub now where I save these as sweater quantities because I had them on the first row originally, and that's where they're going to go back. Because if I don't organize them as sweater quantities, I'm going to end up using it on something that I didn't mean to. And if you're curious as to why I keep them on the first row, it's because this is how I exit the room, so they're right in my face. So it's in my brain to be like, you should make a sweater soon. Especially now that it's September. And my fall markets will be starting soon. When I make one of my sweater hug cardigans, I think that's what I call them, or the blanket hug, I don't remember right now. I do try to set aside 6 skeins. It usually only takes about 5, but just in case of factory knots, stuff like that, inconsistent quality, I try to set aside 6. This yarn, I have enough for a whole sweater. This was gifted to me by my former workplace. It's like an off shade you can't buy. But I still have so much of it, so it's like, okay, what do I do with it now? And there's not really a solid, like a variegated that matches it, so gotta figure out something, but I still have so much. But it's a solid color and it's beautiful, so I'm keeping it. One big tote is empty. I can now reach this box, which has some variegated and some solid. This small box is now empty. Moving on to the next tote, which is like yarn I've had for, like that was on my cube shelves originally. The one I'm going to save for last is kind of mostly what I had bought originally at the warehouse sale. There might be some in this bucket as well. I have 4 skeins of the tie-dye-ish Lunar, and they're all completely different, like just the way they're wound up. But it's such a nice colorway. But I can't wait to make a sweater out of it because it's going to turn out so gorgeous, and I'm so excited. So with that nice plum color, I'm going to pair this one, Pretty Girl Brunette Baby Blanket. I think it'll look really nice together. A while ago, I had bought a bunch of Ogos from someone. There was like 40, no, maybe it wasn't 40 of them, maybe 20-ish. But I pulled them all apart into separate colors. So this is like a really pale lavender, and I figured I'd pair it with dried flowers, this color here. I think it looks really nice together. This color right here, Country Blue, is my absolute least favorite brunette blanket yarn color, only because for the longest time I had about 20 skeins that were gifted to me by my former workplace, or I don't really remember how it happened. I think it was just a garbage bag full of yarn they were looking to get rid of, and I was like, I'll take it, not realizing it was all the same. So I've had to look at it for years, and I hate it for that reason because I've had it for so long. So eventually I'm going to pair it with this nice navy. I really should do it soon so I can stop looking at it. I just donated, like just the other day because of my office painting, I donated like I think 6 skeins of this. It's a really nice color, like it's a really pretty pink. It's not something you can buy because it was an off shade type thing. And I have 3.5 skeins left of it. So this one I think I will wind up into a cake. So technically I have 3 full skeins left, so 900 grams. This yarn I had purchased on Facebook Marketplace during my little impromptu road trip. I'll put the video card up in the corner, whichever one it is, for that video, but it was a good purchase for $5 a skein. One dropped on the floor that I missed. This is a variegated yarn. This is Cloud 9 Brunette Baby Blanket. I recently made Drift the Octopus out of this color, and it was the first one to sell on my market table, so even pastel colors will work for the octopus. We're now down to the last few skeins of that big tote I've been working on, the second big tote, and then we have a full one left. And these are the things that I bought recently from the warehouse sale at Spinrite. And then, of course, the solid colors I've been throwing down here separately. So we're getting there. I hope I have enough room on my shelves. I still have quite a few empty cubes, so I think we should be good. Fingers crossed. I don't fill everything completely because I like to see all the colors I have. So that's why I stack 4 at the back and then 2 at the front, just so I can look at it head on, like stand here, look at it and see exactly what I have. During my warehouse sale video, I had wound these up, and during the time lapse I said, watch this one closely because it looks like ham. Like, because it does, it looks like a ham when it's cooked eventually, you know, and it's just such a funny color. This is going to be the difficult part because I don't have a plan for the rest of these. I think for the yarns I'm kind of unsure about, like I don't have a plan for. I'm going to try to keep them down here. And then the yarns that I do have plans for, of course, want to keep sweater quantities over this way. Might have to shift some of these over, but hopefully they'll all fit on my cubes. Fingers crossed. These skeins were probably my absolute favorite of everything about the tent warehouse sale. It is brunette blanket ombre in a certain color. I don't remember what color it's called, but it's just gorgeous. And wow, I can't wait to make this into a sweater. That tote is all finished. Now we're moving on to everything I bought at the warehouse sale. So, for example, like this tote is completely full. There's close to 53 skeins in here. And some of them I did buy sweater quantities of, so I'd like to dig those out first, but I don't know if it's going to be possible. When I was putting them in here, I tried, and then I was like, oh, they're not all going to fit, so I just started piling on top. The third and final large tote is now empty. It looks like we're going to fit everything into the cubes, and that makes me very excited. So you can see most of them, well, not most of them are empty, but there's quite a few that are mostly empty, so that's exciting. So on the ground here, I think I have about 20 solid color skeins. Most of them are partial. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are full. And then we have, just a few random skeins hanging around that we'll have to cake up and then find a spot for within the yarn wall somewhere. This is the part where I'm going to have to start rearranging things just so I can fit things in certain spots to help my brain out a bit. So I want to keep all the variegateds that I use for plushies basically in these shelves here. And then I want to keep the specialty yarns together. So like the sparkle yarns, ombre yarns, patchwork yarn, I only have one right now. Well, I have 3 skeins of this as we've seen, but one colorway. I could put here, but then I can't see the color in behind there. And I want to be able to see that color. Speaking of, see what I mean? So it's just things like that. So the reason I just removed that shelf is because, or cube I guess, I have some little pieces here. I'm gonna move you closer. Now that all the tubs are out of the way. So I have like little pieces that I want to reach for first because I find myself, I have 2 more new skeins of water slide variegated that I did put down at the bottom like a good girl, but I want to be able to use this one first. So this is probably the cube that fits my eye line the most. I'm looking at things, so I want to keep all the small pieces that I want to use up in that, even if they're solids. So here's a good example. See, I have this small piece here. I move this down to the extras down below. And these never stay organized, like they fall over and whatever, but I try to organize them a little bit and squish them down in there. That's another box emptied. Next up, we had to find a spot for all of the solids. So the older formula stuff, because I know I'm not going to reach for it very often, I'm probably put it on the lower shelf. So I have 6.5-ish left, and then some on the first column left, but we'll see what I do with those. And then if you're familiar with brunette blanket yarn, there's 3 different grays. You can kind of see the shade variance there. I know this is the one that I use for possums, and I believe it's true gray. Editing Melissa is going to put the shades in for you. So we're going to go top to bottom. So they will be labeled for you here via text because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. And then my last 3-ish somewhat solids, I have a brunette blanket dappled in gray. And then we have my least favorite color of all, red, crimson, whatever you want to call it. After all that, we do have 1 empty cube, and that's very exciting. And then we have one that is basically empty, just has 1 little skein. So I guess I could move this. It is an older formula, so it can go down there. So we have 2 empty skeins, 2 empty cubes. So that is exciting, because I wasn't sure if I was going to fit everything on here, but yay. And we didn't even have to put everything or anything up top above the cubes, because I just don't like that look. There are maybe 2 things I keep up there. This is a beach mat I got from the dollar store. I used it for my Whispers Summer event in Niagara earlier this year in May. But I've actually been taking my product photos of plushies on top of this outside. So I know to look for it up here. So that's just where I'm going to keep it, because that's where I originally put it, and that's where it's going to be in my brain. So with these 2 empty cubes, I have room for some yarn I was recently gifted. Also, this stuff I just bought from Temu. I haven't worked with it yet. In the meantime, I do have some other skeins that I want to wind into cakes because, you know, they're loose and floppy and I hate that. So I'm going to do that next, and then I'll hop back on here and show you me putting them on the shelves, and then I think we'll be done. There's nothing left in the back room. I've already checked, just in case. Everything is now wound. I can put it back on my shelf. Tiny skeins of Sweet Snuggles. Here's the peacock color. That's my favorite. It's just so beautiful. So I'm glad I have a lot. That's everything. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad it all fits. So that's very exciting. Of course, one thing that's still not on the yarn wall is the just extra little bits of acrylic yarn. As I said, I couldn't fit it on the white bookshelf without it falling off. That's just gonna have to stay, I guess, on my table for a while until I figure out what to do with it. I should honestly just crochet it up quickly. There's 1,000 projects in my head right now. It's currently Saturday the 6th, and my Temu order arrived today. I'm surprised it delivered, I guess, on a Saturday, but I'm thankful that it did. Otherwise, I'd have to wait till next week. So, yay. It's really heavy. I'm like, what did I order? Like, it's a large package this time. First thing out is more of these little carabiner clips. I've been waiting for these because I want to do the $5 market day for my part 4, I guess, of the $5 market series. And there's 15 pieces in here. Unfortunately, this yarn has a very chemical smell to it, so hopefully it'll air out. I think it's just from like shipping. I can't tell you what it says, but it is snowball yarn and it has like the sparkles in it. Next bag out, I'm assuming, is Safety Eyes because just the feel of the bag. I was right. Let's see what size they are. These are size 35mm. I honestly might end up returning these because, you know, when you order from Temu and you forget what you order. I just ordered, like you see me open it on the couch the other day, I got 2 of these. So this is the 3rd 35mm pack. When you're on Temu and they're like, you can have so much for free, you're like, okay, I'll just add that to the bag because they only give you one specific page to choose from, like for the free items, and I think this was probably what it was. So if it was free stuff, obviously I'm not going to return it, but if it cost me like $6, I'll return it. A few videos ago, I was talking about my favorite purses. I think it was in the same, yeah, it was the same video as the annual tent/warehouse sale. I got all that yarn. And I found my favorite purses on Temu. And this is the 2nd time this has happened now. It says they're the same size, but they're definitely not. These are much smaller. So I've already returned the purple one that you didn't end up seeing, and then I have to return this one because it's just much too small. They look like they're the same when you order them online, like, you know, same pocket, same size, right? And they don't really have the sizes listed on there, but I figured they were the same, but they're not. So this is definitely being returned. I do not remember ordering this, but this honestly might have been one of my free gifts. It is a multi-function camping lamp, and it looks like string lights. I was probably thinking I would use these on the back deck because I do want to do string lights on the back deck. I don't have any lights out there, and when I'm out there at night, like not crocheting or knitting or anything, but just, you know, enjoying some time outside. Because I like it outside at night. I don't have any lights out there. And we used to have a light off the back of the house out of the garage. But it was like a yard light, so it was really, really bright. And eventually that burnt out. We never replaced it because of how bright it is. Yes, I know we could use a different bulb, but it's just the wattage. Oh, next up is my cord hider. So we have, you know, the cords under the TV, they drive me nuts. So I really want to get a cord hider for that. For the master bedroom, we have a TV on the wall, and there's just like 3 cords hanging down, and that drives me nuts. So this one is self-adhesive, which is nice, so you can just stick it on the wall rather than having to use screws, so that's why I wanted this. These are the wire rings that go with my keychains / bag charms, and this is a 50 pack. I'd never seen a 50 pack on there before. Usually it's like, you know, 15 or 20 or 25, sometimes 30, but 50, I was like, finally, thank you. Next up is this. I have no idea what it is. This is one of the assistant pillows, so for your elbows when you're crocheting. I really wanted to get one. I really wanted to get one of the Volare ones, but can't afford that. And they don't ship to Canada right now anyway because of the tariffs, so I was like, you know, I can order one from Temu. And I think this probably was my most expensive item at like $30. But you know what? That's better than paying $130 plus shipping and tax and stuff. So I'm excited for that. So that'll be nice for either in here or on the couch or upstairs in my crochet chair, the bedroom crochet chair. Next up, we have some 20mm eyes. Oh, these ones are the slit eyes. I think I ordered these to make some more snakes because I do like making snakes, like Mom Stitch Eddie's free pattern. I make snakes quite a bit with like my scrap yarn. So if I have like half a skein or like, you know, a third of a skein, I make snakes out of them because it's good to use up the scraps. Next up, we have some 18mm eyes, and these are just the regular paperbacks. I'm excited about this because you may remember a few Temu hauls of mine ago, I had ordered a spinning wheel for like a prize wheel from my market booth, and it was so small and like the quality just wasn't great. I thought it was a lot bigger. That was a Melissa problem, not a Temu problem. But I ordered a larger one, and it actually has like the rubber stoppers on each of them, so click, 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 click when somebody spins it. So I wanted it for my market table because I thought it'd be fun for, you know, kids to spin, you know, $1 per spin. You could win a free $5 mini item or, you know, half off any plushie of your choice, etc., etc. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to write on it yet for those prize amounts or whatever, but once I do, I'll let you guys know. Here in Canada, we have a store called Canadian Tire, and it basically is like a Home Depot. It's a hardware store. And they have a store brand called Mastercraft, and that's mainly like their tools and stuff. But recently, they came out with these adorable little toolboxes in different colors, and I really wanted the purple one. So I seen it go crazy on Facebook, and that's how I heard about it and stuff. I didn't see it in the flyer at first, but it was in there. I went in to get it because they were putting different colors on sale each week. So the week I really found out about these was the week they had the purple on sale. My local store was sold out, and stores all around me were sold out, but luckily they can order it in for you. So it took about a month because they said the interest in these was just crazy. And of course, it's not just crocheters ordering these, it's, you know, people who actually use actual tools. But I was so excited to finally go and pick it up just probably a few days ago. Today's Monday, so I picked this up on Thursday last week. And I'm so excited to show it to you. It's so cute in the box and out of the box. So in the top here, there's just like a tray, I guess you would call it. And the measurements are 11, 6, and 6. It's just so cute. It's pretty heavy. It is like full steel. And I really wanted one for my new painted office. They also had a pink one, but it just wasn't the right shade of pink to match in here. And this color of purple is my favorite purple. I don't know what I'm going to put in here yet. Maybe some safety eyes, maybe just some random tools here that I have in my office. Maybe I'll use it as a hook holder, but probably not because I found a new hook holder at the thrift store about a month ago, and I'm really enjoying it. My husband was like, why don't you get all the colors? Right? Because then you like stack them like a rainbow. And I was like, the other colors, not for me. And like there was a really pretty pink, like I said, but just wouldn't match in here. There's a black one. I don't want that. There's a blue one. No. The other one was, like Canadian Tire red. And if you watch my channel, you know I hate the color
And
red.
I heard from the police officer that I donated all those plushies to in my charity video, this thumbnail right here. I'll try to link it up top if I remember, but I probably won't remember. And I got an email from him, and he had said, hey, Melissa, somebody dropped off a gift for you at the local precinct, and they want to remain anonymous, but they want me to get it to you. So he dropped it off today, the officer, and it's so cool. I'm so excited about this and I'm so thankful. So the local paper did an article like about like my donation, which I didn't really want to happen. I wanted to like remain like anonymous, but you know, local woman, blah, blah, blah. Right. But they reached out and I was like, okay, why not? So somebody did this for me. It's a poster board. And I'm so excited because I don't have to frame it, which is nice. And I'm just going to hang it here in my office. So I thought that was so nice of the anonymous donor. When they reached out and said somebody left me a gift, I thought maybe it was a gift card for yarn or a gift card for Tim Hortons or a bunch of yarn that somebody had left in an estate sale. But I wasn't expecting this, and I'm so pleased because it's not something I could do on my own. So this is really cool. I just wanted to share that with you all. Here's a new angle that I've never used before. I kind of like it actually, so maybe I'll do this again. I officially have my office finished where I want it to be, and I'm very excited to show it to you. I got a lot of new decor pieces in here and, just new things. So I'm going to do a point of view style. So I'm going to flip the camera around and talk you through it as we go through. So entering my office, we have Pablo the possum. I wanted to put him right there to bring me joy when I walked in the room. And of course we come over here. There's the closet. Nothing's really changed there. As you've seen, I put up those little spiders for Halloween. My bucket is going to remain there because every time I finish something that I want to show on video, I put in that bucket. Yarn minder, my industrial serger, which I still do use pretty randomly, but I use it still. All of my grandparents on our wedding day. Over here is some thrifted pieces. Not the wooden bowl, that's from my market friend Doug, but I thrifted those things on the wall there. You would have seen them in the September recap video. I do have one more of those gold things, but this one is pretty stained. So I don't think I'm going to hang it up. I'm just have it there for now just in case I do want to hang it up. But my wicker plant stand is actually corner piece, so it's nice that it finally fits in a corner in my office. And then here's some Bernat blanket extra thick I got free. I'm going to keep those colors, make a baby blanket. I'm not sure just what yet though. And this is what I was waiting on. I had to order one from Amazon. It's a curtain tie back and it's gold. It's pretty. I really want to do gold accents in here with this new pink color. Coming over here, this is where the magic happens. This is my desk, of course. And my new artwork. So I decided to put my calendar over here now because it is easier to remember to do all the things, to mark down what yarns I've used throughout the day, keep track of full and partial skeins and Larry's moods. And these are all my vintage ball bands. Well, I shouldn't say that's all. I do have I could fill another frame with others. I just don't have a frame. So I need to get the frame. But I thought it looked really good there. And then of course you see me decorate my shelves with my Halloween decor. Up there is some plates that I framed just because I thought they were so pretty for my cousin's wedding. And I just love them so much. Down here is my messy shelf, but it's things that I use daily. It's like tissues, printer, packages. There's some rice cakes there for a snack if I need it in the mornings, etc. Garbage bags, the stuff. Down there is yarn scraps and like the pillows that I tear apart to use for stuffing. And of course there's one whip in there as you can see above the scraps. Then in the blue tote actually is dog toys that have never been used. I just kind of keep a stock of, things that have been on sale. So that's what's in there. And my table I am trying to keep as clean as possible. It's not always possible, just because, life. So I have like some whips up here. The baby gift I had just finished. I gotta get to my friend next week. I still have nothing in my little Canadian Tire toolbox, but I'll find something to put in there. I'm not sure yet though. Pom-poms. Maybe I'll put the pom-poms in there actually for the time being. Just working on some beanies with those right now. And then we come over to the yarn wall. So here's my cabinet. I love it so much with all these stickers on it. It looks delicious and beautiful and I just love it so much. I wish I could hug it. And I probably could, but I won't. Going up there, we have my wedding bouquet with all the plushies that I'm keeping. And then I still have one granny square sweater to assemble there. Eventually I'll do it, but not today. And then this is, of course, as you've seen, all my bulky acrylic yarn. And then in my cubes is my chenille and my blanket yarn. And up top, I keep my beach mat, that brown thing in the middle there. That's what I use to photograph my plushies. Like that's the background I use. And I have some Bristol board up there in case I want to do like another fun event and I need Bristol board. Because at our dollar store it's 4 for $1, so I had to get 4. That concludes everything that I have to show you about my new office. This has been a lot of fun for me throughout the year. to plan. You know, once I lost my position, like at work, I was like, I really want to redo my office like at home, because the darker pink color we actually used at work, like in the corporate office, as I told you, and I was like, I need that in my house. And I thought, you know what, this room was a perfect opportunity for it because of how much I love it. So it's really fun to come in here in the mornings and start my day and, you know, just feel more so inspired and excited to come in here, and you know, it's nice for a refresh. I really enjoyed accenting the darker walls with a nice gold color. I think it looks amazing, and I'm just so excited about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you. In the meantime, please remember that you are strong, you are beautiful, you are loved, and the world appreciates having you here. I will see you next time.